What's going on, y'all? If you haven't already, make sure you hit that big red button that says subscribe. Coming up on today's show, j.j.watt trade destinations. I love doing these videos here, man. So we're going to be walking you through the top 5 teams that could make a move just in case this man is moved on from Houston. Before we get into that, what's the latest going on with Watt and what's his future looking like?
Couple different reports that his time in Houston might be over, and there's a couple of different contributing factors there. Age, him wanting to win more, him having just 1 year left on his deal, Houston in general being an incompetent organization so far since Jack Easterby has somehow taken over control, which makes absolutely no sense there. The Texans could just enter a full-fledged rebuilding phase, and I think at some level you kind of have to do right by J.J. Watt,
Sure.
And that might be a trade or an outright release.
Yep.
With the way that Watt's deal is structured, it's 1 year left, $17.5 million.
Correct.
That is all that is left on J.J. Watt's contract. So what that means is whether it is a cut or a release, or a trade, excuse me, it's the same in terms of the monetary impact. So from that perspective, Houston, unless they can get a good haul back in terms of a trade, they might just say, you know what, JJ, we're going to do right by you. We're going to cut you. And the contract coupled with the fact that he's missed a lot of time over the past couple seasons.
Sure.
I wonder if the trade market is not going to be nearly as stout as people assume it would be.
I mean, do you think that he plays all 16 games?
I would bet no.
I would bet no as well, but let's just say he hypothetically would. Would you pay $17.5 million for the exact type of production in 2020?
Yeah, pretty much, because the sacks would go up because I'm a better football team and they'll be passing more against me than just pounding the ball against the run.
Maybe something to think about. So what do y'all think? What should they do with J.J. Watt? Type K for keep, type T for trade, or go down in the comments section and type C for cut. I'm a believer that I would like for them to do kind of like what Arizona did with Larry Fitzgerald, figure out a way to end up bringing him back.
Okay.
But I don't think Houston's going to be winning anytime soon. I would like to see J.J. Watt win. So, you know what? I'm going to type C for cut. So what we have here is we're going to get into some honorable mentions. They didn't quite make our top 5, but these two teams coming up make a lot more sense for J.J. Watt in terms of a personal standpoint.
Exactly. And I put Pittsburgh on here just for you.
I appreciate
because
that.
you want to see him play with his
brothers.
With his brothers up in Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think it makes a ton of sense for Pittsburgh unless J.J. Watt is cut and signed super cheap.
Yep.
They don't have a ton of money available to play with. Now, maybe they'll redo Big Ben's deal. And they're good on the defensive line.
Correct.
Like, they got Cam Hayward and they have Stephon Tuitt, and they got a good edge rusher in T.J. Watt, and you'd probably modify your scheme a little to keep J.J. on the edge, but not as a stand-up edge rusher. They could make it work. It's just, unless J.J. Watt desperately wants to go to Pittsburgh, I think there are better teams for him.
The other honorable mention is the Green Bay Packers. So, obviously, he gets to go home and play in Wisconsin. I mean, that's the thing here.
Before we get in the top 5, I basically took the approach of he's probably going to want to go to a team that is going to have some success. Or he could have some success.
For sure.
Probably wants to get paid at least a little bit, so I focused on teams with better cap situations
this one at least
overall.
also at least fits, too.
Yeah, and look, you pair him with Kenny Clark, it's awesome there. So I think Green Bay makes a lot more sense than Pittsburgh. It's kind of a potential money issue there. In the end, if it's a trade, it limits the options. If he ends up getting cut, I think the pool expands way beyond just what we could have, because that changes the money impact. If he says, no, I'm not taking an extension or restructure, I just want to play 1 year at my contract, things get a little bit tight, which I don't think he's actually going to end up doing. So it's exciting to see where Watt plays and just how much he gets paid.
So this is going to be the pinned comment on today's video. So when you get hit with that YouTube ad break, scroll on down. Let us know. Look into the crystal ball. Where's J.J. Watt going to play in 2021? Let's get in now to our J.J. Watt destinations. We're going to go 5 and work our way down to number 1. At number 5, it's the Cleveland Browns. You pair Watt and Myles Garrett. It sounds great.
It does.
Will it be great?
I think it would be. I think Watt and Garrett would have immense success on that defensive line. Browns typically run a 4-man front out of their base.
Correct.
The Browns, as weird as this is to say out loud, might actually be a good destination for free agents this year.
For sure.
And cap space-wise, they have enough to trade for him if they want. Now, Olivier Vernon's a free agent.
Good.
J.J. Watt, it was mostly a 3-4 base for Houston. 3-4 versus 4-3 doesn't matter as much. I think depending on the role and the scheme for him, he could play some defensive tackle for them in a pinch, which he did at times for Houston. But I think in terms of your base package, it's Garrett and Watt on the edge, and that's awesome.
I mean,
that is terrifying.
I mean, especially for the Cleveland Browns, because you're looking to be able to compete with teams like the Pittsburgh Steelers, like the Baltimore Ravens. I know Pittsburgh doesn't really run the ball that much, but I am a believer that they're going to try to get back to running the football a little bit more. You know Baltimore's going to do it, so maybe J.J. Watt can really help plug up the middle. But here's the question when you talk about Watt. You got to be honest with us here. What's your confidence level in Watt staying healthy from a scale from 1 to 10? 1 being you have no confidence whatsoever that he's going to be able to play a full 16-game season. 10 being lock it in 16 games. I'm like at a 4, man.
Yeah, maybe a 5. Like I think it's kind of.
I'm confident he can get you 12 games.
Agreed. I completely agree.
But like when you start getting around 14, 15, 16, I just don't think it's going to happen at this point of his career. I'm seeing a lot of 6s and 7s.
So.
Very, very true. So scale from 1 to 10. Let us know your confidence level on him staying healthy. Number 4 here on the list, the New England Patriots would be a great fit underneath Belichick.
I think so.
And they got a lot of money, too.
They have plenty of money to use on any number of players, so they're getting back a bunch of players as well who opted out this year.
Correct.
So
6, I believe.
That team is going to be better than what they were, and if they can figure out the quarterback position, they're right back in that playoff discussion. And J.J. Watt's made a big deal about like wanting to win, and he was pretty upset about not winning, and he made comments like the goal was not to win a playoff game, it's to make the Super Bowl. I think that mindset would fit really well with Bill Belichick of like, I don't care if it's fun, we're going to win football games.
I was just going to say, and I think in terms of personality, you've heard a lot of teammates about J.J. Watt talk about how like in the offseason, he gets people together, they're working out at 5 a.m. I think him and Belichick would be absolutely perfect for each other. The other thing is this, like, let's not forget, the New England Patriots have had arguably the best defense in 2019. If you can try to get back to winning football games with that defense, because I don't think it's going to happen with your offense, I mean, would any of us count out Bill Belichick and
look,
the Patriots?
Several of your key players are free agents on this defensive line. Dietrich Wise, Lawrence Guy, Adam Butler. I like Chase Winovich and Josh Uche as kind of like a part of your edge rushing group, and the Patriots run some very unique fronts when it comes to their defensive line. And J.J. Watt is flexible enough to play outside at defensive end and kick inside and kind of be a 3 technique if needed, especially on passing downs. I think Belichick and that defensive scheme would have a lot of success with J.J. Watt. It's a matter of, does Watt want to be there? Because I think at some level, kind of like what we saw with Matthew Stafford, if Houston does trade him, they're going to send him somewhere where he wants to go. I'm not sure how Nick Caserio feels about sending him to the Patriots. That could be a potential problem there.
True.
And if they cut him, it's going to be where he wants to be.
So we always try to be honest with y'all. I'm not the best at picking out gifts for my significant other. Tom, how good are you at picking out gifts for your wife?
Okay.
Okay. That does not inspire a lot of confidence in me, okay? And if you guys need some help, we got you covered. Valentine's Day, right around the corner. Just go out and show your loved ones, your mom, your daughter. Heck, if you're a guy and you want something for Valentine's Day, chatsports.com/flowers. 15% off flowers and gifts. I mean, I don't know about this. I like flowers, but if I could get hooked up with a charcuterie board, all about it. I got a sweet tooth. Who else has a sweet tooth? We got chocolates. We got donuts on a stick. I mean, we have all sorts of amazing gift items here. And all you got to do is go to chatsports.com/flowers. But it's also a lot more than flowers. Maybe, I don't know, you want to go have a little bit of fun in the tub? A little bubble bath. We got you covered here. 15% off your entire order. Sometimes finding a gift can be tough. Let the professionals handle it. That's all we're trying to do, help you out a little bit here.
I'm just surprised you know what charcuterie is.
Why? Don't ask me to spell it. I can spell chatsports.com/flowers, but if you ask me to spell chatsports.com/charcuterie, I am screwed, man.
I'm surprised you know what it is, man.
15% off flowers and gifts. It'll be in the comments. It'll be in the description. Don't be an idiot. Get your significant other something special for Valentine's Day. At number 3, the Tennessee Titans and our J.J. Watt destinations.
This is my favorite just pure player team match. Tennessee had 0 pass rush last year. Like, their edges were terrible. Now, I'm a huge Jeffrey Simmons fan.
Oh, yeah.
I think that guy could end up being one of the best defensive linemen in the NFL.
Agreed.
So I get the chance now to pair, hypothetically, J.J. Watt with Jeffrey Simmons. Those are my 2 of my 4 pass rushers, I'll say. I'll group defensive line, defensive end together. They run a 3-4 base, so we'll call them a 3-4 defensive end. You slot him in instead of Jack Crawford. You got Simmons and Watt and Harold Landry, and figure out your 4th guy, and you will get more pressure this year. I promise you.
I mean, you know that the Titans wanted to do it. They tried to bring in Vic Beasley. That was a disaster. You tried to bring in Jadeveon Clowney.
Wasn't great.
That didn't work either. I mean, you're talking about a football team that they want to be able to predicate themselves on being a tough team. Well, guess what? That defensive line was an absolute joke this year. I mean, they didn't inspire fear in anybody's eyes. You couldn't get after the quarterback, and, well, I don't know. There was at times I was like, maybe they should put Derrick Henry at defensive end. Maybe he could get more pressure plowing people over.
The problem with this idea.
In the division.
It's in the division.
Yeah. It's tough.
The Colts make a lot of sense, too, in terms of a fit. I don't know. If it's a trade, I think it really hurts the chances. If he's cut, though, he's a free agent.
Sure.
Maybe. It gets him back with Mike Vrabel, too, which I think might be appealing to him.
So here's a tough question. Will J.J. Watt win a Super Bowl? So obviously he's 31 years old. Mm-hmm. He's at this point of his career where, does he take money? I don't really anticipate him doing that. Does he try to win a Super Bowl? That's the route I see him going. So why for yes and for no? Despite me saying all these things about J.J. Watt and how much I like him, it's so difficult to win a Super Bowl.
It really is.
I'm just going to type my N for no. Let's go to the number 2 team here, the Buffalo Bills. I love this fit.
It wasn't my intent to make almost all of our first couple teams AFC, but that's how things ended up turning out there. The Bills are about league average in cap space, so from that perspective, it's fine. I think this Buffalo team sees an opportunity to try to win before Josh Allen starts to take up more of the cap hit, that's the price you pay for having a good quarterback. It's a price the Bills are happy to pay. But it is definitely easier to win on a cheaper quarterback contract because the quarterback in this case is normally pretty young.
Yep.
We ignore all the bad quarterbacks who are very cheap as well. I look at this defensive line and I go, okay, I love Ed Oliver, super promising player.
Correct.
I can get by with Vernon Butler or Quentin Jefferson or Harrison Phillips or whatever. Jerry Hughes still playing at a decent level, but A.J. Epenesa's not there yet. Mario Addison is fine. Trent Murphy's not that good. I plug in J.J. Watt to this defensive line and okay.
I mean,
now
J.J. Watt with Ed Oliver. Ed Oliver reminds me actually a lot of a J.J. Watt where they work their freaking tail off. Watt's a little bit bigger, obviously, but in terms of work ethic, I would love for Ed Oliver to learn underneath.
You put Oliver and Watt in certain packages right next to each other and have them stunt and crash and have fun.
Good freaking luck. So the number 1 team in our J.J. Watt destinations is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He fits perfectly for what they're trying to do, and I mean, if he is chasing a Super Bowl, why not play with a guy named Tom Brady?
Again, I think win now is probably going to be what Watt looks for the most. The Bucs have several different free agents on the defensive line, but they have plenty of cap space.
Yep.
They're in a pretty good spot in terms of that. Now, they've got their own pending free agents, so it's not going to be as plentiful as it appears right now.
Correct.
But they're willing to go all in. So here's my proposal to Tampa. If you're still going to try and win games, why don't you let Ndamukong Suh walk and just slot J.J. Watt in there?
That's fun.
And if you can find a way to keep Shaq Barrett on top of that, or just draft a different edge rusher.
Yep.
And in passing downs, when you go to your 4-man front like most NFL teams do, Shaq Barrett, J.J. Watt, Vita Vea, and Jason Pierre-Paul.
Good luck.
That is the best front 4 in the NFL if you're able to pull that off.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's just scary to even think about. I mean, they've done a great job of late really being able to get after the quarterback. It's curious to see what they'll be able to do in the Super Bowl. But, if I'm J.J. Watt, it's really between figuring out a way how I can win a Super Bowl because I don't really think he's still trying to get paid. He's made plenty of money, I believe, in his career. Mm-hmm. So what do y'all think here? How many more years does J.J. Watt have left in the tank? This is going to be one of those dudes I think is going to play it out as long as he possibly can. Mm-hmm. And if the injuries didn't happen, I could literally see another 5-6 years because he's going to put in the work ethic.
Okay, yeah.
But it does come down to his health. So go down in the comments. Let us know. How many more years does J.J. Watt have left?